Okay. Despite enormous technological uh, problems, we're back
We're
for. I think
back.
this is attempt number 4 potentially, if my notes serve me correctly, because we had some internet problems and then my computer just totally pooped itself. But we have solved these problems. And Zach Kane, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Round four. Yeah, glad to be here again.
Fourth time is the charm. Little did everyone realize it's the fourth time that's the charm.
Yep.
Um, just as a quick backstory for people who are listening, so Zach and I go pretty far back. So he was a senior at Davidson College my freshman year, so we played ball together there. And then Zach, you went on to play in the White Sox organization for a little while, and then you came on board at Rebel. I think we said August of 2020,
Yeah, I think that's
right?
right.
For some training, and have had some really awesome results that I think a lot of people listening to this will be able to relate to. So excited to have you on, kind of chat a little bit about your background, your history, your journey, and
Yeah.
then to dive into a little bit of what your experience has been like working with us and some of the results that you've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, glad to be on. Thanks for having me, James. It's fun to get back and talking with you again. I think I'd seen your parents like, you know, 4 years ago or something at a game, and they were like, "Oh no, James is, he's out on the West Coast doing his workout stuff." And I knew what you were doing like from afar and saw everything, but glad now that I can be a part of it, and it's been awesome. But yeah, background wise. I grew up in Atlanta. I was into sports my whole life, all different kinds of sports: baseball, tennis, lacrosse, football, you name it. Baseball was my one true passion, I'd say, and so pursued that with everything that I could. I was always little, really small guy. Had to work extra hard to get everything that I got. I only played 2 games in my high school career. Yet, as James mentioned, I made it to the Chicago White Sox. So a lot of hard work and determination. Nothing came easy, and really had to hit the gym hard. I could, I had natural, I guess you could call it athletic abilities were really high, but natural strength was about as low as you can get. And so, I had to dedicate a lot of time and effort to that, and it paid off. Davidson was awesome. I I think I gained like 15 pounds my freshman year. After being 5'2" as a freshman in high school to 5'10" as a senior, but rail thin. Was able to put on some pounds and made a big difference. My time at Davidson, and I worked really hard on the physical stuff while I was playing baseball because I knew I just couldn't show up and play and be the best guy on the field. So that kind of background and mantra for me, is just you get in what you get out what you get it put into it. And I didn't start my freshman year, didn't play at all, except for coming in to pitch a little bit, which was kind of fun because I hadn't pitched since I was 13 years old. But Davidson, as James is laughing about it, we like to turn our position players into pitchers because we don't have enough scholarships in order to pay for pitchers that are very good. And so
Uh,
I got up on the bump, and then from sophomore year to senior year, I started every game and. Had a great time. Obviously, awesome team. A lot of fun with James. Great team bonding and all that kind of stuff. And I think James, out of everybody, was probably the only guy in the team who could hang with me on squats in the weight room. We had some pretty good squat battles. He'll probably argue that I didn't go deep enough. I'll say I hit 90 degrees, and that's fine with me.
we'll bring
And
Tim Ridley in. We'll bring Tim Ridley in as an
yeah,
unbiased
yeah.
third party observer.
Yeah, good old Timmy. But no, had a lot of fun with that, and James has always been into lifting. Even back then, I was going to him for tips and help and stuff like that because it's a passion of yours. And then got drafted, played minor league baseball for a couple of years for the White Sox, which was kind of the pinnacle of my athletic career. Had a great time, got to see some really cool parts of the country. Montana, Utah, Idaho Falls, Arizona, and then all up and down the East Coast playing, with the team was actually pretty cool. I was right outside of Davidson up in Kannapolis, North Carolina, playing for the White Sox, and then played for the Winston-Salem team a little bit. So it was good to be able to shoot back and forth, see some Davidson games, see the guys, and then go back up and play. And after a couple of years, I decided that the life of a minor league baseball player was not for me by any stretch of the imagination. All the bus rides and eating crap food and being told where to go and when to be and getting paid nothing for it, is worth it if you can make it. But making it is just so damn difficult. And so I didn't want to. I wasn't willing at that point. Once I had a couple of years in to basically say, all right, screw everything else. I'm going all in, and whatever happens in the rest of life, like family, all that kind of stuff, not care about it. And so I decided to hang up the cleats and, go back to the 9 to 5, the real world, as they call it. Which was a pretty rude awakening for me, never having done really internships because I was playing baseball every summer or lifting every summer or one of the two, to be sitting behind a desk from 9 to 5 or more like 8 to 6 nowadays. I don't think 9 to 5 really exists all that much anymore. Yeah. And so, so I had to, adjust, both just mental aspect and headspace and where did I get my competitive itch out? Like, what did I need to do to go and do just, I could not stare at a screen all day and then go home and eat and sleep and then do it all over again. I had to do something physically active to keep my, energy levels up besides just, lifting and stuff. And now that I didn't have a reason to lift other than just lifting to lift, it was a lot more difficult to be motivated to get in as much and work as hard.
Yeah, I was going to ask what were some of the big reflections in that transition time. Because we hear that a lot from our people because we attract people that were high school athletes, college athletes, maybe professional athletes.
Yeah.
And then there's always this transition period where it's like, okay, well, I lifted for this outcome and I had this team and I had a sport and I had a locker room and I had a community and competition. And so you had this whole package that came together. And then you have this moment of one day it's there, then the next day it's not. And it's so this is a new landscape.
Yeah.
So it was one of the biggest transitions for you then, kind of not having that sport anymore as an outlet.
Yeah. I mean, not having the sport, I like to say it's I miss the sport. But at the end of the day, what I think I really missed was the team camaraderie and working together towards a common goal of being the best or whatever. And I love all kind of sports, but I like the team aspect is what I really missed afterwards.
I couldn't agree more with that statement.
Having people next to you, drive you to, shoot the shit with, to have fun with, to celebrate the wins and, whatever the losses also. And, that part about it was the biggest component that was missing for me, that I had to try and find elsewhere.
So what did you turn to first then, right? Because you had a good background in terms of exposure in a weight room, lifting, training. So what were some of the things that you turned to first then to try to fill that void essentially that was left behind? Because knowing you, I know there's no way that you were just gonna ride off into the sunset and let yourself just become a dad bod who's no longer athletic, right? You hold these things too dear, like we all do. So what were some of the first couple of things that you tried or avenues you went down to try to hold on to this thing?
So it's funny. I had a strength coach that I worked in the off seasons, and I did not, could not afford to pay him anymore for his services, because it was very expensive when I was playing, but there was an angle. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, can you just get me I don't need this balls to the wall plan. I just need to kind of be an athletic human being still and have the strength to be able to do the things I want to do, and go and play tennis or go and play a beer league softball or something like that. So I started there, and it was fine, but again, it's just going and lifting on my own, having that, not really having done that a ton, in the past 4, 5, 6 years. It was it was harder to just have that motivation. I still had, he'd send me workouts and plans and stuff, but there was no progression in my mind with it. There was no tracking of what I was doing. It was just things to just go and just almost just to be active, really, at the end of the day. Like I was still getting stronger and stuff, but it was not, I couldn't tell you what one day it was X I could lift and the next day or, 3 months later it was Y. Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of lost track of that. I just didn't, it was just like I'd get in the gym whenever I could make time, and it wasn't as much of a priority. And then not having not having something that I was lifting towards, really that part of it for me was just like I had to change my mindset, and it took a while. Like at first it was just like I didn't have as much motivation. I wanted to look good, right? Like who doesn't? But it wasn't like I wanted to really get in there and get after it, because I didn't care really. So I think part of it's been a while, right? That was 10 years ago that I stopped playing. So, since between then and now, there was a lot of adjustments and different paths I took, and did CrossFit and class training and class pass and like all different kinds of things just to find something that would like stick, that I would like and stay with. And, I've, been more motivated as I've gotten older and been like, well, shit, this hurts and that hurts and this hurts. And like, I need to keep myself in good shape and really, care about it. So part of the reasons why I reached out last year, but
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a really common story amongst a lot of the people that we get who like traditional sports and then they're kind of left with this gaping vacuum of sorts. And then they go and they start trying kind of anything that they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
But they just can't find the right thing that fits. It's like they try this one thing. They're like, yeah, I tried CrossFit and I loved the whole community aspect was great. The people were awesome. Didn't like the programming. Right.
Yeah.
Or it's like, or it's like I have this like I got a program off the internet to do. And then I'm just like, I just feel like a lone wolf. I have no accountability, and I eventually just drop off. And then I start like shiny object syndrome program hopping every like 3 to 4 weeks. And it's like you hear the same stories repetitively, like again and again and again from our population of people, to where it's like, I know I want this outcome. I'm just not entirely sure like where to go to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're floundering around trying this and that, and like nothing ever really stuck for more than, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, maybe. Like it'd feel great at first, and you get the euphoria of like, I got a new program. I'm so excited about it, and like getting after it. And then after a little while, it's like, where am I even going with this? Like it's just, yeah. So definitely that's same with my same story for me.
Beautiful, man. So let's do this. I know that you have like a couple of numbers there in terms of like what your progress has looked like since being with us since August. So I'd love to touch on like what do those numbers actually look like, so we can give people a frame of reference of like, hey, like this is where I was, this is where I am now. Sure. And then I would love to hear what you think were some of like the biggest contributing factors that allowed you to like experience those types of results. Yeah.
I mean, I'd say, the reason why I joined the program, first of all, in August was like, I'd seen your postings of like people who were, really enjoying the team atmosphere that you guys kind of helped to foster, and just, having a specific program with like goals in mind of what you're working towards and being able to see the results from A to B. And so, I think I'm a clear example of it, like that works. And so, I think the super strong, that first one that I did, it was just like a 30 day, like, hit it hard. Let's do, bench and squat and deadlift, and let's just focus on those 3 lifts. Right. And not a whole lot of other things. And, I hadn't frankly done squats in probably like 5 years, because I just like had naturally strong legs, and I was like, I don't want to do squats. And so I just want to do squats. I just wouldn't do them. And like my legs are still fine, but like, and so like I came into the program, I was like, 285 for like 3 reps approximately is like where I was at. And, by whatever, a month and a half from that, like 6 weeks from the initial thing, I think I was up at around like 315 for 3 pretty easy. And then, today through, I went from the Supersonic to the Apex program, and I've been doing that steadily since October, I think, beginning of October now. So, We're talking about, 6, 7, 8 months. And now I'm doing like 365 for 3, which is like 80 pounds more than I was doing last August.
Yep.
And, some of that I'll attribute to the fact that I didn't do much before. But
Yep.
like a lot of it is attributed to like I have a specific program in order to focus on growing and training and tracking and like that. Those numbers, like I didn't really think about it all that much until like I put like the before and after next to each other on the page, and it like jumps out of like just how big of a difference it is.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
So, and it's like that's one, like that's back squats, that's one thing, and I to that point I've also started doing some front squats, which I basically never done in my life because the whole wrist thing with baseball, I always use that as an excuse, and found the strap method, which I love, and I've killed it on the front squats. I think that I enjoy it much more than the back now, and so that's like my new thing that I never would have even tried before. And
Yep.
but I love the feeling that it gives, and from there I've seen. Like for my first trying front squat, it was like, I went to 275. I went down a little bit because I wanted to be careful. I've seen I'm doing 315 by 10 now. Like, and it's
That's a legit front squat, 315 for 10, especially coming from a.
coming from like a not doing it. Like, and it's just crazy because I hadn't done it before. And then I've got a program and a track, and like, I don't have to think about it, right? Like I don't have to think about my progression other than just like, all right, here's what I need to do. I'm going to get it done and then see where I end up. And so, I've seen bench, like I had never before in my life, even in college when we were doing lifts with Ridley, lifted more than 230 on bench for a single rep. And I just had not have a strong, chest or whatever. Some of it, I think the form that, we worked on in the super strong really helped. And I went from like at the time in August, 205 by like 3, so I'm at like 255 by 3 now, like 50 pounds over, 7 months. And like just the numbers are just like mind boggling of like the change and stuff that I've been able to see. So,
Yeah, man, that's great. It's huge. I love it.
yeah.
That's so awesome.
Deadlifts went from like 335 to 385. 335, I could get like 3 to 5, and I was able to get 385 by 3, 405 by 2 just a couple weeks ago. So like huge increases. And what I like about, obviously we're talking about the 3 big lifts here and stuff, but like some of the other numbers, like the more like athleticism based stuff, like the broad jump, like I wasn't getting over 100 inches, and I used to be able to really jump. Like I could jump like out of the gym. And I haven't been jumping, and so I like all the that kind of stuff that's mixed in with the lifting, which if I was just doing it by myself, I'd never do. Just because like I'm not gonna like sit here and do 2 steps and then a big broad jump just as my training. I look around and nobody else is doing that in the gym. Like they're just like I'm the only guy like off in the corner doing my weird shit and like
doing your jumps and throws and sprint work so you can actually still be athletic.
Exactly. Like my goal is not to be just this like meathead muscle bound guy who can't do anything. Like I like to go and play sports still, and so I want to have like functional strength and increased athletic ability and all that kind of stuff, which you just don't get with a lot of the other programs. So like my broad jump, like when we were doing the test the other day, it was like 112 inches. And so
nice.
it's like,
what'd you test in at?
Just under 100. It was like 98 or 99, I think.
Casual 14-inch PR and broad jump.
Casual 1 foot increase there over the course of like 8 months. But again, it's like, some of it I'll attribute to the fact that like I wasn't training for that, right? And now I'm training for it. But it's also because I've got specific training to focus on those things and be able to track the differences, which I love. So
for sure. Do you know if your vertical or if any of the conditioning tests have improved also?
So conditioning tests have improved. The only one I have noted, and it's kind of conditioning, it's kind of not, is like the biceps ladder, like, doing which is horrible. It's a terrible exercise. It eats me to pieces. I went from like 100, a minute 52 to like a minute 16. So I shaved off like 40 seconds on
Nice.
like a 60 rep version of that. So it was like, night and day from where I was trying before to what I got to. What else? Pretty similar results on the tricep slider. I don't have the specific numbers, but around the same thing. It was like over like a 30 or 40% like decrease in time in order to get the same amount of reps.
Beautiful.
And
I love
so,
increased strength, increased power, increased capacity, all the good
yeah,
things.
all the good things. And I did tend, initially to like, say, you know what, I'm just going to go play tennis instead of like do this exercise on the rowing machine and then bring in the assault bike and do all that crap. So like I kind of like shied away from that at first because I just was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. But the more I've seen, I think I even texted you and said, hey, I'm gonna play tennis. I play tennis every once in a while instead of like doing like these like things, which is good. Like I got to
totally
do it,
cool. Yeah.
right? But like it's not the same from like getting like a heart rate up and that stuff. So I do try and mix that in a little bit more now.
Beautiful, man. So what do you think has been some of the biggest differences in like working with us versus the other things that you've tried? Like the reason that you've been able to stick to it, you've been able to see progress, make progress, like everything is still just trajectory like this way. Like
Yeah.
everything is still moving up. Like there's no signs of a plateau anywhere.
No. I mean, yeah, no signs of a plateau yet. I'm sure I'll hit one at some point. But I think the differences for me, part of it's been when you see the results, it's additional motivation. Like when you're tracking it, like through the app and stuff, and I can go back 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and see where I was at and where I'm at now, and like that in and of itself, it's like, oh man, this is really working. It's like additional drive to keep doing it and keep pushing hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm competitive by nature, so when somebody posts a big ass score, I'm like, man, I got to try and beat that. And so I'll look there and I definitely do not beat a lot of them. There's some monsters that are part of the program, which is good, man. You got to have goals. So I that aspect of it I really like, and being able to chat with people and see what they're doing and the successes and wins and struggles and all that stuff and get feedback. I think the community aspect of it, which especially with COVID, I know it's difficult and tough and stuff, but like this was like the only outlet I had to like talk with other people while I was working and doing stuff like that. And so I thought that aspect of it really helped.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to dial that up more now that we're going to start running the training camps 3 times a year.
Yeah,
We can actually get people together in person, and so we can hopefully have this like really cool online vibe that no one else has of like you have these 7 program pathways you can choose from. You get an awesome community, all this other stuff. We get to actually come together and lift in person 3 times a year. So it's like you can get hands-on coaching, you can meet other people in the team, just try to like really blend and have a hybrid approach of like you get some in person, you get to remote, the best of both worlds. So hopefully, we'll be able just to keep kind of dialing that up for people.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I saw that first one. I've got the 3 kids now. My brand new daughter is like 7 weeks old a few days ago, so I'll still want to try and make one of those. I definitely will not be doing 3 a year, but I'd love to be able to at least get one. To go and meet some of the people and get out there and get after it. I'm excited about that. And the challenge, whatever that we did last week, that was pretty fun too. So.
Oh yeah, that was pretty brutal. There were some.
That was.
What was your least favorite event in that challenge?
Satan's beep test. I almost threw up.
That one's a doozy.
That one literally had me on the ground, like almost dry heaving. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. It was all awesome. Fun test, fun to challenge myself. But when I read it and was looking through it, I didn't realize how bad it was going to be until I started. And as soon as I started through my first one, I was like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah. Sometimes it's best to go in totally naive to how terrible it's going to be.
Yeah. That one got me the worst. But they were all fun.
Nice. We can post the details for Satan's beep test in the show notes for people if anybody wants to to give
Give
it
it
a
a go.
run and have some
Yeah.
fun, it's pretty awful and terrible. But I highly recommend you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually need to go back and pull what the yeah, hopefully as we get more people that run it, we'll be able to have like some standardized like breakdowns of like
Yeah.
percentage tier finishes. Um, excellent, man.
Yeah.
So
Don't tell me mine after, unless don't post that out to everybody.
mhm, for sure, man. So let's wrap here. Let's say if somebody is listening to this and they've been on the fence about kind of like jumping on board what we're doing and working with us, what would be like your 2 cents piece of advice for them?
My 2 cents piece of advice. You have to have the internal motivation. Like this program isn't just gonna like work for itself. Like you're not gonna just oh, I've got this program now. I'm gonna just be like awesome. You actually have to put in the work. It is a lot of work. It's dedication and time commitment. But if you do it and you put your all into it and follow the program and follow the training and really kind of buy in, like the results speak for themselves. So like I somebody who doesn't like to plan my own training. I can't stand like trying to have to find time to think about what I'm going to do next. And the fact that I can just open up the app, it has everything in there that's kind of geared towards what I'm looking for, and just like follow it and get after it. It works, and I think the results are a testament on their own, right? Like I can talk all I want about it, but like the results speak for themselves. So if you want a program that is easy to follow, gives you great like community aspect, people to be able to look over what you're doing and help you out, and provide technique tips and all that kind of stuff. Then you can get all that there, and it's just good group of people. It's a lot of fun.
Beautiful, man. Well, Zach, thanks so much, dude, for coming on. Really glad that we got to kind of like reconnect
Yeah,
over
for
this
sure.
and training and throwing down. Kind of like I feel like what our first bond was like hanging out in the weight room, late night hours on a tee in a cage,
Yeah.
and running train on everybody in flicker ball. So that's what we're gonna do,
Those
dude.
were the days. Those were
That's
the
what we're gonna
days.
do. We're gonna have a flicker ball tournament at one of these training camps.
We should. We should. We'll show them how it's done.
Bring back the glory days.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you. So, anybody listen to this, if you're like, hey, this sounds awesome, I would love to learn more, then in the show notes beneath here, just there'll be a button, there'll be a little link you can click to chat with our team. We can answer any questions you have. One of our big goals is to always make sure that we get you pointed in the right direction for you. So, we'll talk to you about what your goals are, how long you've been training, do you have any pain right now, what kind of equipment do you have access to, and we'll give you our best, honest, unbiased recommendation about where you should go, whether that's with us, whether it's with, some of our friends, other people we work with. But yeah, that'll be in the show notes. Just click that to chat with the team. We'll get you helping out. But otherwise, Zach, thank you, man. Everybody
Yeah.
listen. You guys have an amazing week. And let's see, next week we've got Ty Terrell from the Atlanta Hawks coming back on board to talk all things velocity-based training. Should be really good. So stay tuned for that. Zach, anything else? Anything else for the people?
No, man. James is the man. You're a mad genius. I don't know how you figure this stuff out, but it's crazy the results that we get. So appreciate all the hard work, and I think you guys are continuing to improve the program over and over again, and I'm just loving what I'm seeing. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, guys.